driverless vehicles aren't the way of the future yet. How's everybody doing? My name is Anthony Brian Logan, and today we got to talk about this very interesting story I've come across coming from San Francisco, belly of the beast of liberalism. It's about these driverless cars. You know, everybody loves Tesla, but they hate Elon Musk, but that's a different story, and I digress. They love these Tesla, they love these autonomous vehicles that can drive on their own, but there's just one problem. You see, the technology is not really all the way there yet, and they're causing big-time traffic jams in San Francisco, blocking emergency vehicles, ambulances, fire trucks, police cars, etc. Now, before I go any further, let's go ahead and roll the clip. If you want to see it in full without my commentary, link, as always, will be in the description. If you're on IG, link in the bio. Visit the corresponding article on the website. But without further ado, let's go ahead and roll it.
A car stopped in the middle of the street blocking emergency responders. Another getting very close to a city bus. This one seemingly confused by road construction and frozen in its tracks.
Finally stopped right before falling into a hole.
Some robot drivers in training do not seem to have learned all the rules of the road.
The thing about driverless cars, before we continue, there are so many variables on the street. I'm thinking about just evasive maneuvers. Like, what if somebody's driving drunk and they careen into your lane? Can the AI react immediately? Do they know how to swerve without hitting pedestrians? Like, does the AI or whatever is driving these vehicles understand all situations? They can't, obviously. Let's continue.
I'm seeing at least one incident a day now with autonomous vehicles.
For years, the city by the bay has served as the testing ground for a fleet of robo-taxis from Google's Waymo and GM's Cruise. Driverless cars you can hail with the touch of a button. But when things go wrong, they are a traffic nightmare and posing real roadblocks for first responders.
The autonomous vehicle just came and blocked them. And
Fire Chief Janine Nicholson's people say without a driver at the wheel, robot cars often make the wrong choice around fire trucks.
They stop in the middle of the street and turn their emergency blinkers on anytime they see flashing lights on an emergency vehicle.
When a fire department has to roll out on a call like this, if they can't get to a fire in time, every minute that goes by, the fire can double in size.
Firefighters describe driverless cars rolling into fire scenes, running over hoses, even having to break windshields to stop a vehicle.
Now, here's something else. Do these vehicles park? If they park, do they park in front of a fire hose? If you park in front of a fire hydrant, what happens is they got to bust your windows out to get the hose through your vehicle. They might try to go under, but if you got a car like that doesn't have a high clearance, they're gonna have to go through your window because they can't go around because the hose has to have full pressure to be able to get the water to spray. And so they're gonna bust through your window and then just stopping the vehicles right in their tracks. That's gonna be a problem. Yeah, that's an issue. That's a big issue because, like they said, every minute the fire goes unattended, it's gonna get worse and worse and worse. And you could have animals trapped inside that house, humans in the house. It could be a structure that could collapse and impact other buildings nearby. It could spread to other buildings nearby. It's a very bad problem.
the technology is not ready for prime time.
The director of transportation here says 911 calls about robot cars have tripled in the last year. But here's the thing.
We have no regulatory authority over them whatsoever.
Even though it's your city that's being affected?
That's right. It's our city and our streets, but the state of California has preempted municipal authority over autonomous vehicles, unlike taxis or scooters.
He's filed protests with state officials and says, unlike other industries, robot car companies share only limited data. Cruise did not respond to interview requests, but Waymo says robot drivers are on their way to being safer than humans. After all, more than 42,000 Americans died in vehicle accidents last year.
I knew they were going to say that. I knew they were going to say that we are safer than human drivers. We're not going to be drinking and driving. We're not going to be high on drugs. We're not going to be at the wheel sleeping. We're not going to be distracted with the cell phones. We're going to be safer than humans. Now, although we might block a fire truck and face no penalty, we may get in the way of a fire hose. We may get in the way of a high-speed chase. We could potentially maybe even injure a pedestrian. The incidence of autonomous vehicles doing such things will be lower than the general population, so it's totally fine. And then when something like that does happen, there will be no punishment for the companies that provide these vehicles because there's no driver, right? Oh, just a mistake. It was an accident. We didn't do anything. We're not liable. But if you're a human being that did something like that and you don't die in an accident, you live. Now you're liable. You may have to pay a penalty. You got to pay insurance, of course, and you might go to the penitentiary.
We have very infrequent events that occur, but they do get a lot of attention.
They say it's 3 911 calls a day about autonomous vehicles. So that doesn't sound infrequent, I have to say.
What I mean is relative to the number of miles that we drive and relative to the number of emergency vehicle contacts that we face on a day-to-day basis.
Waymo's chief safety officer says that every mile of the millions driven in California and Arizona teaches the whole fleet new skills. And the company is expanding service here. LA is next.
We hope to increase the number of rides 10x by next summer.
A tenfold expansion of autonomous vehicles here in San Francisco would have a dramatic impact on congestion. It would result in significant delays to our transit system and to emergency vehicle response time.
And it might even cause a threat to safety, to hear you tell it.
Yes.
Jake Ward, NBC News, San Francisco.
So that's the video right there. Very, very interesting. I think one of the main quotes from that is that technology is not ready for prime time. It's not ready for prime time just quite yet. It's the same thing with this green energy movement they're trying to go on, having all electric everything. They're trying, well, they're not trying, they're actually doing it in a place like San Francisco and New York City, etc. They're banning gas from new buildings, not just in New York City, but in the whole state of New York. New buildings will not have gas at all. So no gas, furnace, stove, nothing, no gas, because they want everything to be electric. Now, how the electric is powered, they really don't care. If it's powered through coal, from fracking, from whatever, that's totally fine. Nuclear, dirty fossil fuels, it's totally cool. However, the electricity is powered, and if the electricity is causing a big load on the system and they can't sustain it, and you have rolling blackouts, you might not be able to charge your vehicle up at your house, and it takes hours anyway. That's totally fine. As long as there's no gas in your home or gas in your vehicle, that's what they are going to do. Although we're not really ready for that yet. That's what's going to happen. And you may see accidents with autonomous vehicles. You may see them block emergency vehicles, and not just cars on the street. Also semi-trucks, because they're going to do that as well. Imagine a semi-truck getting into an accident or blocking the road, and you got a lot of treacherous mountainous type territories, like out where I live. You have this place called Mount Eagle. When she's going from East Tennessee into Middle Tennessee, and you're going up to the Cumberland Plateau, it's a really steep grade going up and down. Now, it's not that bad going up, but going down, you can't even really accelerate. If you accelerate, you can mess around and be on the runaway ramp. But that's a different story, and I digress. The point is, these trucks sometimes have their brakes smoke. You can smell their brakes. You can smell it. It's because they accelerate a little bit too much. They're not in the right gear, and as they're going down, the momentum takes them and makes them go very fast. Autonomous vehicles in that type of situation, it's going to be a problem. They're not going to understand to go to the runaway ramp. They're not going to understand to avoid other traffic while they're out of control. It's going to be a big problem. But what are they going to say? Oh, well, there were fewer accidents with autonomous semi-trucks than there are with regular trucks driven by human beings. So it's totally fine. Neglecting the fact that it's hard for you to make evasive maneuvers and all that kind of good stuff. And then, of course, like I said earlier, there's no penalty for that kind of action resulting in loss of life or damage. Who are you going to actually sue? You going to sue the company? Hey, it was an accident. It was a computer malfunction. And that's something else as I close. How many computer malfunctions will there be when you're talking about things like this happening? I mean, look at your phone. Sometimes your phone is going to freeze up in the middle of you on Instagram. You on the phone call, you texting, you face chatting or whatever, Insta, Snap, Face, my page, whatever. You're doing all that good stuff and your phone crashes. The same technology in your phone and then your computer and then your video game system is also in these autonomous vehicles. So when that crashes, what happens? You're in an interstate going 85, 90 miles an hour, and all of a sudden it just stops. Then what? Now you got a big pileup. It's a whole big mess. So like I said, and like they said in the video, the technology is not ready for prime time, but we're going to see what happens as the technology advances. Will it get better than humans? Will it not really be up to par? And if it gets better than us, as I close real this time, that's going to be a problem. We're going to become reliant upon that. Now you're looking at the Matrix in real life. But I think I'll leave that right there for now. And what say you? How do you feel about what's going on here with the autonomous vehicles not really being ready to be out there on the street, causing accidents, causing traffic jams, backups, blocking emergency vehicles? Whatever your thoughts are, let me know in the comments below. You guys know where I'm at. They're not ready, but I don't really want them to get ready because that's going to be a whole different set of problems. What's going on right now is that they're just kind of getting in the way. They're causing accidents or whatnot. But then if they become much better than they are right now, and we have more advanced autonomous vehicles like your cars, trucks, planes, trains, if that happens, then at what point do they decide to make decisions on their own? You know, okay, they'll say we're going to do X, Y, and Z rather than A, B, C, and both options could cause death. At what point do we get to that level of machine dependence? I don't want to see that happen at all. But whatever your thoughts are, please let me know in the comments below. And that's all I got to say for this video. If you like what you heard, please comment, rate, share, and subscribe. Peace.